All right. Ready. Open wrong window. All right. Welcome to the JRPG Journey, where my friends and I dive into classic and modern JRPGs, playing and discussing them together. Each month, we pick a game, play as much as we can within the month, and then come together to share our thoughts. Our goal is to play these games in a chronological order, experiencing their evolution over time. Join us on this adventure through the world of JRPGs. And today it is my buddy Taylor, also known as Tay. Can you hear me okay, Tay? Okay, good. So make sure I didn't lose you.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, do you have any experience with Dragon Quest 1, our game that we were discussing for our first episode?
I do not. I didn't even know anything about it at all until you asked me to play with you.
Well, that's good. So all first impressions, 100%. That's good.
Yeah.
What about like the whole, Dragon Quest slash Dragon Warrior games in general? Like, heard of them? Have you tried any of the newer ones out?
No, like I know the name, I just have never picked the game up before.
Okay, cool. Well, I know you were.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of Final Fantasy, so there, there's like a lot of people that are like either fans of one or the other or both. Some people like,
Oh, so some people are like, "Oh, I love Dragon Quest more than Final Fantasy."
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, so like in Japan, Dragon Quest is way bigger than Final Fantasy, and here Final Fantasy was way bigger than in Japan. It's like the flip flop.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just jump in a couple things, and again, just discuss what your personal, ideas and thoughts are, and vice versa. So nothing too serious. What did you think of this story? Oh, you know what? Before I say that, what version or port of the game did you play?
I'm playing the Switch version.
Okay.
It was $4.99 on the eShop, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not?
That's exactly what I did, because I played, back in the day I played the original, not when it first came out, but so I guess I'll just jump into it. How I started with Dragon Quest, I was molded into it as a young boy, but my older brother and my older brother was like 7 years older than me, and my dad, they used to play games like this, RPG games, like way back before I even knew what that term was. Like the first Dragon Quest, the first Final Fantasy, and a few others on Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, I probably could barely read, and even if I could, I wasn't. I just was enamored by these cool fantasy games they were playing with all these cool monsters, and getting new armor and weapons, and I would just sit there and watch them play it. And we would have like Nintendo Power and stuff, with like little maps and tips and tricks about the games. And I would just sit there and like kind of flip through it and look at it while they're playing the games. So that got super like sucked in as an early age, and then when I got a little bit older and could actually figure out how to play them, I started playing. I actually started, I think, with the original Final Fantasy, um, but I did play the original Dragon Quest a little bit, but not much, because as a kid it was like the original Final Fantasy was my favorite, so it was I didn't really. It's like it's hard to go from original Final Fantasy back to the first Dragon Quest when you're already familiarized with that other game,
Yeah.
which we'll probably get into in a future future episode. But yeah, so that's basically my background. I had a little bit of time with it, when I was younger, and then didn't touch it, and never obviously ever beat it or anything. And then when we decided to do this, a couple of the other guys who are not here today, hopefully they'll be here next time. I said, let's just start with this one, because this is not. I think this is not technically chronologically the first one that came out, but it's pretty much one of the first or the second one, and it's one of the biggest ones, that came eventually here to America. So that's why everyone calls it the Godfather or the grandfather of all JRPGs. It's a good
So
starting.
it's like not technically the first game, but one of the earlier ones?
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard to really pin them all down, but I like to say for the consoles, for the NES, or in Japan, the Famicom, um,
Hmm.
there was, I think, one other technically RPG that came out in Japan, I believe, before this one, which I think is probably going to be the next one we play, which we can get to later. Um, but this one was the first one that really kind of got that worldwide recognition, I think, early on, and Nintendo Power did a lot with it when it came over here to try to like support it and sell it. And there was even a time where they were like, "Hey, you sign up for Nintendo Power, new subscribers to Nintendo Power, you'll get this game for free." So they really pushed it for for a little while back in the day.
Hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it had some popularity, but he never had the same as, like I said, never the same as Japan. So, but it's okay. I think it's a good starting point for everything. So,
Definitely.
so we'll just jump in. What did you think of the deep story?
I mean, the story was just so complex and so complicated. I thought it was like the best thing ever.
Yeah, you took a lot of notes,
Well,
right? So you can keep up.
I took so many notes. Yeah. It was, you know, very. It was very classic, with the whole, oh, I'm a hero, gotta save the princess, gotta find these magic weapons to make me strong, and then let's just go kill the bad guy.
Yep.
Which I can appreciate. It doesn't have to be very complicated to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Very straightforward, like medieval fantasy. Yeah.
It is very straightforward. Yeah.
And I don't
So when I
know.
did,
Go ahead.
no, sorry, when I did first encounter like the first enemy, which I think was a she slime,
Yeah.
I was like, why am I finding an onion?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then they started to evolve into emojis because then the Dracolite
Yeah.
this looks like an emoji.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. This was like, there were slimes in RPG games, probably predating this, but this was
Yeah.
like one of the big early maybe JRPGs that had slimes as like the first monster. A lot of RPG games, it's like you go fight rats or something. That's how you start. Like this one's like, you know what, you're gonna fight a slime. That's funny, and
And
it's their
then those
mascot
little
now.
oh yeah, the slime's the mascot?
Yeah, yeah. If you ever look into like anything like Dragon Quest related, or merchandise or shirts or something, it's always slimes.
Amazing. They
Hmm.
look like onions to me.
That's funny.
At least at least in this game.
Yeah, yeah. Did you know you don't even have to save the princess at all if you don't want to?
I it kind of felt like that because I think I told you before when I first turned this game on, I just did whatever, and I ended up somehow going to the desert first and dying horribly.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh well, I guess I just can skip everything if I wanted to.
Mm, that's funny. Yeah, so yeah, that's part of the story. Is like, the king's like, save my daughter or whatever. Blah blah blah. It right
Well,
away just tells you like you're a descendant from the bloodline of Erdrick or whatever, something like that. The bloodline of
oh
heroes.
wait, that was something I found interesting because the king just tells you to go kill the dragon lord. He says nothing about his daughter or anything.
Yeah, I
He,
can't
he
remember if he said it or not, but I think if he doesn't say it, somebody in town does. I know
it's,
somebody somewhere said it because I did like talk to different people to see what they had to say, and somebody
yeah,
mentioned going to save the queen, the princess. But yeah,
it
you
was
don't have to.
yeah, it was like the knight that was next to the king. He's
Oh,
just like
okay.
the king is just too sad about it and can't talk about it anymore. I'm like, well, okay, I'm glad I talked to you then.
Yeah. See, this is good that you played it more recently than I, because I literally, when we first started this, like I said, we all gave each other a month. You jumped in a little bit late because you and I had started talking about it after me and the other guys started this whole thing.
Hmm.
Of course, they didn't show up, so screw them. But no, I'm just joking. but I literally had already played completely through it in the first, like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, week and a half, because I had it on the Switch, so I could sit on the couch and play while I was doing other stuff. And I
Mhm.
could bring my Switch with me to work, and if I had downtime, I can grind a little bit for 30 minutes or something. Um, but but because of that, yeah, I'm happy that you're. It's more fresh in your mind than it is in mine and stuff like this. So, but yeah, so oh yeah, like I said, the story pretty straight, cut and dry. You're a single hero. Go kill the bad guy, save this world, and if you remember to or feel like it, save the princess along the way.
If you really wanted to.
Yeah, if you really want to, you can. Not required. You get a little bonus for doing it, but um, another thing a lot of people have always mentioned, which as a kid I never thought about it, but as an adult when I would see stuff about this game and decide to go replay it, was they would always mention how when you first leave the main opening area and go outside for the first time, how you can see the bad guy's main castle like right across the pond there.
Yeah.
And they're like, they always people are like, that's so cool how your starting point you can see your ending point, and most games never did that. You see, you'd have to travel for a long time to find the end boss, but you're like, the bad guys are right over there. It's across the lake.
Yeah. And I think the map is pretty like straightforward too. Like you just go here, and then you
Yeah,
just skip other places. It's
yeah.
very easy to yeah.
I was gonna say, I think when this first came out, it was really, if you didn't have any kind of guide or anything, that was like a big deal to them. Like you can go anywhere and look around, and you would just cross a bridge or enter a new little field area, and then the monsters were harder and you might die, but that's how you learned. You took some notes. You came back later. You grinded up some new armors and weapons, and then came back, and like that little exploration was a big thing back then. Where now it's like, okay, I'm gonna play this, but I want to know quickly because I'm a father. I don't have a whole lot of video game time, but I like playing video games like this. So
Mhm.
when I sit down, I'm just like, all right, got 4 or 5 hours on a Friday night to play. I'm not gonna just sit here and like you know take my whole night randomly looking and figuring stuff out like I did when I was younger, which 100% awesome for people that still have the time to do that and want to do that. Just take your time to explore like you did. Like you just jumped in and like, I'm going to walk around and figure it out. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. I used to play like that when I had a lot more free time. But
Well, the
now I'm just
the
like,
only
okay, I want to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, So I look up like, where do I need to go next? All right, let me get there.
well, the only bad thing about it is that, like, I'll talk to every NPC, that I, like, come across, and
Yeah.
then I'll forget about them, go do something random, and then I can't remember what they said, so it
Yeah.
took me a while before I found what I needed to find.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Excuse me. All right, let's move to the next topic. Since we sort of touched a little bit, was like battling, like the fighting, the whatever you want to call it, the battle mechanics. Let's call it. Um, do you want me to start, or would you like to jump in on it?
You start.
Okay. Um, so I mean, right away, I guess it's hard sometimes for me to like explain whether something older is good or not based on all the stuff that came after that we're used to now. So I usually try to go back and play it and remember that this was a game of its time, and at its time, not a whole lot came out with stuff like this, right? So, and it did take a little bit from old computer games that are computer RPGs that came out before it. But that being said, it is obviously very straightforward. It is
Very.
cool. You get to see the monster. It is cool that, in my opinion, how the background of the monsters will change. Like if you're in the grass or in the woods or in the in the desert or whatever.
Are the poison.
Yeah, the poison. Yeah, the
Yeah.
swamps or whatever. And it's cool how the backgrounds change. It's cool how the monsters. There are actually quite a bit of monsters, and most of them just have palette swaps, but there's still a lot of them. It's pretty cool. Um,
Mhm.
but other than that, battling is pretty straightforward. You hit them. If you get too hurt, you heal. You have a couple of spells that you automatically get at certain levels, and I think there's only a couple versions of spells. Most of it's either you hurt them with a spell or you heal yourself with a spell. So
Pretty
it's
much.
yeah, pretty straightforward, and it's only you have one character, you fight one monster. So that changes as the Dragon Quest games progress. You'll see here when we ever get to whenever we get to future future versions or titles, or there are actual teams at that point and more monsters on screen and stuff. But this is where
Oh,
they
so like
started.
you'll like gain more characters can
Yeah,
control, or okay,
yeah.
cool.
You'll have little parties of like 4 and stuff, and then there instead of being just like one Draki, you'll have like maybe 3 Drakis to fight, that kind of thing.
Instead of one onion, there's four.
Yeah, exactly. um, but yeah, other than that, I would just say battling, in my opinion, is very, very straightforward. What about you?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is just you press a button and hope they die. When I first played it, I was like, "How will I know when the enemy is gonna die?" Because I didn't see no health bars. But I'm like, "Oh wait,
Yeah.
this is good.
See,
I'll keep
that's
getting attack."
yeah. See, I totally forgot about that. So that's great you brought that up. Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
there's like no health bars. I was like, "Oh,
Yep. So that's one of those things that either if if when this came out, let's say you bought this like the first month it came out, and there was no
mhm.
guides or anything back then. There was no internet, obviously. Like people weren't on the internet. Eventually there were guides, of course, but let's just say you bought it like when it first came out. You didn't have a guide. That's something that you either just memorized. Hey, I hit this guy 3 times and he dies, or you just would have taken notes. Like seeing people would, some people would take notes and say, okay, look, every time I'm hitting him for this much damage or this much damage, and 2 or 3 times it kills him. So he probably has about this much health. But also, I don't know about the Japanese version or the Famicom version, but I know on the Nintendo version it came with like a map with a fold-out map, which told you where like
Oh,
different cities and stuff were, and I believe it also showed areas where the different monsters sort of live, like their habitats. And I think on the back of it, if I remember from being a kid, had like the monsters, not the boss, but all the other monsters and like what their like hit points and stuff were. So so I think
hmm.
the at least if nothing else, the Nintendo version came with that little like games used to come with like little guide booklets, like the little ones, but they told you like what the weapons were, what the armor was, what the potions were, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I think I found a PDF for that because I was looking through that earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So a lot of people back then probably would have had those, but yeah, like you said, you don't see it on screen, so that's a cool point that you made that, because now now we all have that in RPG games. You see their health, you see their mana bar, whatever. Sometimes, not all of them, but some games.
Yeah, I'm so used to playing, like Final Fantasy. They have the health bar, and what buffs and debuffs are on there, and all that.
Yeah, a lot of the more modern ones, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
Um,
I kind of just like sitting here, like, oh, I hit it 2 times and it died. This one I had to hit 5 times. I'm going back to the other area.
yeah, exactly. Yep, that's what you do. Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
Or man, if he hits me 2 times, I need to heal.
Yeah, unless you're like me and get to the desert at level 9 or 10, and then just get hit with one hot shot.
Yeah, that's funny. The only other thing I would say about battling is, it's got that battle music, which so we can just go right into music. What do you think about like the music and stuff of the game that you've heard?
I thought the music was very like I didn't listen to a lot of it because I was watching stuff while playing this game.
Sure.
But what I did hear, I thought it was like very like especially the battle music. It was very like uplifting and fight worthy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for
If
sure.
we're talking about sound though, the sound effects,
Sure.
you know, when you hit against a wall, it makes that like buffing the buffer sound.
Yeah.
I hate that. I also hate that sound.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, yeah. Some people don't like the. Well, let me say it this way. I don't mind. Obviously, I don't mind the music, and me playing it again is like a nostalgia trip because hearing the music again and haven't been playing it in so long. But immediately, I was just like, like forgot about the music. This is cool, just because that's like one of those things takes me back kind of to when I was a kid again. And back
Mhm.
then, there wasn't a lot of music for Nintendo games, and it was very repetitive, and you got used to it. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah,
sometimes people that'll play it now will be like, oh, they might like it at first, but then after grinding monsters for hours, they go, this music's driving me nuts, you know? But
you
it
know
didn't
what?
bother
That
me.
might the music doesn't bother me at all. Like, but the little sound effects kind of do, which is kind
Yeah.
of weird. I think like the little buffer sound, and then every time you run into an enemy, it makes that like that one sound that's like, oh, you encountered an enemy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it.
Encounter music, I guess you can call it.
Yeah,
Sound effects. Yeah. Funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, like the I know like the towns have the music and stuff. That was nice. So, yeah, I don't know. It never bothered me. Even I playing it as a kid didn't bother me. Obviously, hearing about it as an adult, I remember people complaining about it. But then me finally playing it again all the way through now was like it never the entire time it didn't bother me. But yeah, obviously it's still gonna get better. It's not it's
yeah.
not like
I mean, yeah,
go ahead.
I think what they were trying to I could see it being getting very annoying if you're trying to grind to a certain level, because the grinding in here kind of is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just jump in on that. So, general gameplay. So, what do you think, Basset? Yeah, go ahead and jump in on it.
I mean, I think pretty straightforward. You fight your enemies, you get experience for them, and you level up. But I know you told me that they were worse before, but even in here, you still got to get like 8,000 experience points before
Yeah,
leveling up, and it does take a chunk of time out of your day if
yeah,
you're trying to get to like level whatever, level 20, which I just hit. Great.
yeah. Awesome. Now, I know you said you're like literally about to fight the boss. Well, now if you fight him at level 20, he's gonna be pretty easy. So, or at least easier, much easier. So,
Yeah, I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to get him to him at level 19.
well, that's fine.
But
Still
then I
good.
ran out of magic keys and I had to go back, and now I have to go all the way back to the guy.
I remember. I think you needed only two to get to him. I believe once you're in his castle, I think you only need two to get actually to him, if I remember correctly. So, but
I think it is two. I just only had one
yeah.
left, of course.
Well, speaking of that, that was one of the things in the gameplay that I thought was like, you know, I mean, I get it. Like they wanted to hide certain things that you had to accept. You couldn't access until you get to a certain point in the game, and then that was their idea. Well, here's these keys, and now you can
Yeah,
unlock the random doors that you find in towns that there's somebody that's trying to sell you something, but they can't sell it until somebody with a magic key comes into their door. Or there was that one person that I can't remember which town it was where you like use a magic key to get in there, and then you talk to her, and she's like, "Hi, here's a magic key. Have a nice day." And I'm like, "What the
are you
hell?"
kidding me? Yeah. The magic keys were kind of a little waste of time, but it's okay, I guess.
Yeah. So like I said, I get like for the most part. Other than that, like kind of that was silly, but for the most part, it was like they used it as like a little roadblock, right, to get you from like part early game to mid game or something. Um,
Yeah.
but it does sort of after a while get kind of annoying. I wished, I guess, I would have been if it was me, I'd be like, all right, you get when you unlock a magic key, it then works for all of the doors. Like instead of having to keep going and buying new ones and stuff, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of having to walk all the way back to Remoldor? Remolder to get them,
Yeah, and
whatever the city's called.
can't remember, but one of the other towns, there's another town that has them at least. But I think you might have had to have a magic key to get to the guy who sells them, if I remember right now. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I feel like there was more than one town. One sold them with you just walk up and buy them. That was the first time you find them. But there was somewhere else where like you have one and you get to his area, you can then buy more or whatever. I don't know.
I think that was in Cantlin, where you had to
Canceling?
fight the golem. Yeah, Cantlin.
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah, that golem was tough, man. First time I walked into him, whoop.
Yeah. I was like, okay, fairy flute.
That's
But he
right.
always woke
I
up.
did do that, but he woke up and I had to keep like every turn or every 2 turns or something having to keep doing it. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just remember that. And the other thing I just thought of too, going back to, is when we went and saved the princess. When I first came to the princess, I think I was like 10 or something. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, cool. Let me go save this princess. Once I got magic keys, and I was like, I'm gonna go save this princess. And then the dragon just completely murdered me in like 2 hits. I could just, like, even if I just kept dropping healing or magic, he would have killed me. I wouldn't, like, I would have used every turn just to stay alive. And I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta come back and save her later. This I came here way too early, so that was funny.
That happened to me too. And then I was like, why am I not killing this guy? And um the guy just said you gotta be there at level 11 or 12. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was definitely, even if it is 11, it's probably still tough. I think I came back. I don't know. I don't remember when I went back, but I definitely waited. Um, and went and did a bunch of other stuff, and I probably came back at like 15 or something. 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was funny. Um, I know. I wish one of the other guys was here just to discuss if they played the original. I was hoping one of them would play the original. I don't know if any of them did. Josh might have, the other Josh, but because he was playing it on a handheld that had emulators and stuff. So I'm thinking he probably played the original one. Um,
Hmm.
so he could have chimed in, because there were differences other than it being harder with like the grind, and harder with buying stuff. And I remember like dying. If you died, you would lose half your money. You wouldn't lose anything else, but
So
you lose half your money.
yeah, that still happens.
Yeah, does it? I didn't die.
Yeah.
Or I should say, I didn't die in between saves, because on the Nintendo Switch, it was easy to save frequently. So
Yeah, I just didn't save as much as I should have, and when I died, I just lost a whole bunch of my money, and I was like, ugh,
yeah,
I have
yeah,
to get it all again so I can buy a shield or whatever it was.
yeah. So that's part of the gameplay too. Is like in the Switch version, you can hit the autosave, which can be very helpful, especially if you're like, oh, I'm about to enter this dungeon. Let me autosave before I enter it. Or okay, there's the dragon. Let me autosave before I fight him. That kind of thing. Where the old game is like you had to go all the way to the king to say to save, or have to keep your what are they called, those chimera wings or whatever, to fly
Yeah.
back. You always had to have something, because yeah, if you be deep somewhere, even if you beat something and you're deep and you beat the boss and you ran out of all your healing and all your magic, you don't have any chimera wings, and you have to walk all the way back to the castle, and some stupid trash mob punches you and kills you. Like, it goes half your money. Hey, you still got,
Oh,
you still beat the boss, or not the boss, but you still beat whatever, but half your money's gone.
yeah. That it sucked.
The other big difference I remember is the old one. You had to, in the original one, I should say, you had to, like, if you walk up to a person and you want to talk to them, you'd have to hit the select button or start button. I can't remember which one, which brings up a menu, and then you'd have to select talk out of the options. If you wanted to go down the stairs, you had to like go to the stairs, hit the options thing, and then click on the button that says stairs or whatever. So that's something they luckily fixed in the Switch version, because that was a huge pain in the ass back then.
What was it?
The options, like having to hit options,
Oh yeah.
like that. Then the new one, you don't have to really deal with it. You just go up and click X or whatever, or to talk to someone, or click to go on the stairs, and you just go. So in the old one, it was like you always had to click options to bring up what you want to do, and then tell it to do it. And if you wanted to go downstairs but you weren't next to the stairs and you clicked it, it didn't work. You had to go next to the stairs, bring up the option, then click use stairs.
Huh.
It was dumb. But
But with this one, you can just walk right into them.
what's that?
With this one, you just walk right into them. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah, yeah. Did you well, we'll get into that in a second. Let's see. I don't know, talk about the pros and cons. Well, we can just talk about that. It doesn't matter. Like any pros or cons that you thought of while you were playing, that stuff that stuck out to you.
Um, well, at first I was thinking like I could really do with a quest log because I could not remember what to do at all after I talked to NPCs.
Yeah,
Like I ran into those wizards by accident most of the time.
yeah,
Like just because they were like a location on the map, and I was like, oh, let's go see that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
but also the sunstones. You know how they're in like the little stairs next to the castle.
yeah.
I did not see those stairs at all when I was
Oh,
trying to search for them, and it
yeah,
took me for. I had to look it up to find out where it was
yeah. They
because
hid it. They hide them.
I'm blind.
Hide them in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, like there's that one town where you had to like just barely go out and then walk around just on the outskirts of all the town to get to the back corner to talk to the guy to buy stuff or whatever it was. I forgot
Oh yeah,
what
the
it was.
magic keys. The
That's what I
magic key
said. I
guy.
thought it was the magic key guy. If I was right, yeah, yeah, because I think there was an NPC in town who said something like, "I came here to buy NPC. Or I came here to buy magic keys, but I don't know where the guy is," or something like that.
Yeah, there's like a little traveler guy, and
Yeah,
then in the there's like one person where you talk to at the castle where you have to walk across the floor that hurts you.
yeah, yeah,
It's like this is where you find the grave of the one dude that has the lyre or flute, whatever it was.
yeah. Fairy flute.
No, it was a like the magic lyre that you have to
Oh,
give
oh, oh,
to.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, one of the wizards.
Yes. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about.
And
Yeah.
then I forgot to heal before I walked across the thing again, and I died. So
Yeah, what a scumbag that guy is. He's like, you know
yeah,
what? You can come talk to me. You're gonna have to like walk literally across whatever this is, barbed wires and razor blades. And if you make it and you don't die, then I'll tell you something.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? It's funny though. It's funny just to think how they do that kind of stuff. But
I thought it was funny. I was just like, oh, damn it.
one of the other things I thought was like strange is like, and I'm sure it has something to do with the way the game's created and how they create it and how they, back in the day when they had limited space on these cards, carts, whatever you want to call them, cartridges,
Mm-hmm.
was like if you're in the town and then you go inside a building, it like it changes, like the background changes from black, it switches like the building might be like if there's a roof or something, and when you go in, you could see inside it, but the rest of the world turns black right away. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I always thought that was weird.
yeah. That was that looks weird on the Switch, especially
Yeah.
because it's just like this big screen, and then it goes into like a little square.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why do they do that? I don't understand. And then some of the buildings, it's just they're wide open. There's no roofs. You just walk. It's like they just want to hide what's in some of them or something. I don't know. I don't know why they did it.
Just I guess just because to make sure you know that's important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The only other things I was thinking was like a personal con was like the limited inventory space. You know,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
that drove me a
I
little bit
just
nuts.
yeah, I just threw away stuff and stopped. I did. I stopped buying the chimera rings and the medicinal herbs
Yeah.
just because it took up too much space.
I didn't. I got, I think, at least halfway through the game, and then I found out that you can go to the person next to the inn and they will store your stuff. And I go, "Are you freaking kidding me? I did not know that this whole time."
Oh, okay.
Did you know that? No.
No, I didn't
Okay,
know that.
good. It wasn't just me. Yeah, because especially when you start carrying about a lot of like the magical item that you need to like put together or whatever, or the different armors or whatever, it's like, yeah, you if you go to like sometimes you need a torch, right, if you're going to go in a dungeon,
Mhm.
and sometimes I always try to keep that one stack of magical herbs in case I run out of mana or something, whatever. But yeah, when I got to the part where I was like I had to carry all these different items and I don't have any space, I was getting frustrated, and I was juggling stuff like you were doing, trying to sell or to throw away stuff. And then
Yeah.
I don't remember if I looked it up or if I just saw it or I just walked up to it. I can't remember how I found out, but I just like talked to the person in the first town, right inside the inn. Like the first person you talk to is the innkeeper who will let you save and heal and stuff, or not save, but let you heal up. And then just keep going in, and there's another little like not a bench, but like a counter, and there's someone there. And we talk to them. They're like, you can store your money and you can store your items. So if you're about to go fight a boss, you can put most of your money away. So if you die, you don't lose it.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah. Yep. I don't remember if that was in the original one or not, because if it was, I also didn't know, because again, when I played when I was a kid, but going into it this time on the Switch port, I still didn't know until I was most of the way through the game, and I was just like, man, having to juggle this magic items and armor and weapons, and then trying to have like something like a torch or something. I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to go into this dungeon without a torch because I don't have any space, and I'd rather have, you know, uh, like I'd rather have some medicinal herbs in case I fight something and I get hurt, after the battle, like instead of using all my magic. And I was like, yep. So then I found it, and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Wish I'd have known that before.
I mean, yeah, it's a little too late for me to know that, but it's fine.
Yeah, but your carrying space was very limited. But again, I think that just has something to do with the limited space that was on the cart when they were programming these.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I was annoyed by it, but I was like, okay, I know why this exists.
Yeah. Sorry if you heard a bunch of noise. My son just randomly walked in here and was trying to play a video game. And I was like, dude, told you I'm out here talking and we're recording something. You're coming back later. Give me some time.
Oh,
Whatever. That's what happens when you have kids. I don't remember if there's any other like thing that really stood out. The only other thing I remember, well, no, I'm not gonna say it because you didn't beat the game yet, so never mind. There is, I'll just say when you beat the game, there are some slight changes that happen in the world. You'll see it, and you'll notice it, which is cool. So it's kind of cool. Once you beat the final boss, the actual world has some change to it, which is nice. That's fun. Thought that was a fun
I think
touch.
I'm fighting the Dragon Lord right now.
Oh, okay. Killing him as we speak. Well, you
Yeah.
obviously chose to fight him and not join him.
Yeah,
No,
because that's what the game wanted from me.
yeah, that's what you're expected to do, obviously. But technically, you can say yes and join him, and then it goes to like a game over screen. So technically, there is a bad ending. You can technically join him, and that's like the bad ending.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's assumed that if you join him, the world actually, it ends because you're the hero, and you join him, and now there's no one that could stop him. You know what I mean? So kind of
Oh,
funny.
just got a critical hit on him, and he died. Cool.
Is it the first iteration or the second iteration?
The first one.
Oh, okay. Well, you just started.
Yeah. Oh, he's a dragon now.
Yeah, he's just an angry wizard at first, but he's pretty weak, and then he gets buffed up like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you noticed if you looked at any of the artwork, but or if you are even interested in animes. But the Akira Toriyama was the guy who drew all the stuff for the Dragon Quest games. He's the guy who does the artwork for the Dragon Ball Z, yada yada.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, that's why it's like the monsters. If you look at the artwork or even just look at the monsters in the game, and then you kind of look at some of the monsters and characters in the Dragon Ball series, you can tell there's a similarity, an art style similarity. Yeah, they got a really cool. A lot of the uh, Japanese releases of games, especially RPG games, they usually had really cool artwork, like anime esque, where when it came to America, they were just like, you know what, we can't make it look like a kid's game because no one will buy it. Nobody knows what anime is. We're gonna just put these, medieval fantasy painting drawings as characters so that it'll sell here.
It's just so weird because well, I guess it's not weird. It wasn't weird before, but it would be weird now because anime feels popular.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now, yeah, it took a long time.
It did take a long time, yeah.
It took a long time. All the nerd culture is now fun and cool and interesting, like D&D, for instance. Anime. It used to be like anime. You either no one ever even most of the kids I knew like growing up like pretty much never even heard of it or knew about it. But you'd have like one kid in your elementary school that knew about it. And you'd be like, yes, cool, we're friends. Like
Yeah.
they would come on like sometimes late at night or something, like an episode or two. Or if you went to like the video store to rent movies, it would be like this small little section with VHSs, and so you can go try to rent something. But
I vaguely remember that.
yeah, but now it's popular. It's on everything. Every streaming device has anime on it now, at least that I'm aware of. So that's cool. Okay, well, I don't really have anything else I can think of. Do you have anything else that you could think of that you want to add that we maybe forgot to talk about?
Not that I can think of. But I do know if I was younger and I played this, I would have been all over this game.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely did. Like I said, like you know, original Final Fantasy again was my bread and butter back in the day, and I was
Mm-hmm.
very very familiarized with these style of games, like just grinding to get a little bit stronger, to get a little bit more money, to get the next weapon and armor, to finally get to the next area or get to the next dungeon or fight the next boss. So I was kind of used to it. But nowadays, depending on the people, some people are still interested and still like it, and a lot of people don't. They're like, I need it to be fast paced. I don't want a turn based. I want fast paced. I want action. I want to get through it. I don't want to take too much time.
I actually really love turn-based games, so I don't get it when people tell me that.
Yeah, me too. They're just relaxing. I like being able to sit down, take your time, just pause if you need it. Pause, go do something,
Exactly.
come back. Um, so just as a quick and kind of a shout out, I believe the next game, which in Japan came out just a little bit before Dragon Quest,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we'll just do that one next. It's called Hydlide. Have you ever heard of that?
Hydlide?
Yeah, Hydlide. Hydlide.
Hang on. HYDELIDE?
Hydlide. It's
Hydlide.
an old Nintendo game.
No, I've never heard that
Okay.
name before in my life.
It's yeah. It'll be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Again, it technically, from when I looked it up, it technically predated Dragon Quest by like a couple months. So it's not gonna be anything like Dragon Quest per se, but I'm just saying it is still technically an RPG, and it was released in Japan. Therefore, it's a JRPG. So,
Makes
um,
sense.
but so that one's going to be the only one that we sort of I think do out of order in this series that we're going to be going through. So we'll go ahead and give ourselves the next month to get as far as we can through Highlight, or as far as we want to, because it might be a game that we think is somebody is like, this is trash, I don't want to play it anymore. That's okay. They can that could be a review. If you get like
It
10,
could be.
10 hours in, or even if you get 5 hours in or something, you're like, nope, I can't do it, I just can't do it. That's fine. But if we can and you get through it, then we'll discuss it and go from there. I'm pretty sure that after that we should have um, pretty much on par for like what came next, all the way through the into like the early 90s, I believe. um, Actually, I think I stopped just before 1990, because there's a lot of them in the starting mid 80s into the late 80s. There was actually a lot of them that came out between the Nintendo and the Nintendo and the Sega Master System. There's a few of
Mm-hmm.
those games. Um, but yeah, again, this will be fun. I think we get to see it slowly progress, and you will see like what different people did with their JRPGs, and I think
Ooh,
it's
the
gonna be
great
fun.
evil has been banished and the world owes peace once
There
more.
you did it.
Yay. Oh, there's flowers now. Cool.
Yep, that was the one thing. all the poison or swamps, I guess, all turn into flowers. And
Oh, that's cute.
but the other thing is, there's no more monsters, so no matter where you walk, you won't get attacked anymore.
Thank God.
So if you wanted to play that game and you wanted to grind up to maximum level, which is level 30,
I was supposed to say 30 might be a lot.
you can't beat the boss because now you beat it and the world's safe. So you would have to play up to 30 before beating the final boss. It's not like other games where like you beat the game and it's like you can continue if you want, or there's a new game plus option, you know. So
Oh.
you technically
Well,
saved the world. There's no more monsters.
yay.
That was the thing I didn't want to say while you were fighting, but now you saw it. So
The flowers actually, that's really nice.
yeah, I thought so too. I thought that looked cool when I saw that. I was like, oh, that was a fun, pleasant surprise. Just swap out the little poison spots for flowers. That was fun. But
It is fun.
cool.
Oh, and then everyone's lined up at the castle.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, you could talk to them and so
Cool, I'm a
fun.
hero now.
One last fun factoid that just popped in my head, which we can get more into in the future when we play when we play Dragon Quest 2 and 3, is technically this is, I think, if I remember correctly, this is actually the third story wise. The character you're playing, this is actually the third game because I think, if I remember right, they made this one. I'm probably saying it wrong, but the third game, Dragon Quest 3, I believe, is actually the first game as far as the story goes.
Okay, okay, I see. Okay.
So you just now defeating and saving the world is actually like the end of that trilogy, which is called the Erdrick trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 and 3, I don't remember which order they go in now because we'll figure it out later. But basically, whichever is first. I think 3 is first, but I could be wrong. Um, but they actually lead up to the first game, and then you finally defeat the Dragon Lord and save the world, and that's part of the Erdrick trilogy. And then the games that come later are a different group of trilogy that follow a different character and stuff, or characters, or through their life, through their bloodline. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh.
Oh, and then at the end, the king was like, "You can rule," and then the hero was just like, no, I'd rather rule over my own land."
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
then
"Okay."
and then I think I was just like, I think I married the princess. I think she says something and I accepted to marry her or something, and that was like how it ended. I think it gave me the option like, would you let her come with you or something or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I guess we're gonna, you know,
Sure. I
build
mean, I
the
just saved your life.
build that
So.
big green dragon. And yep. Anything
Just
else you
go.
want to add or anything else you could think of before we end this thing?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, overall, what do you think your general overall? I mean, I know you said if you were a kid, you would have had fun playing it, but what do you think is your general overall?
I would, I would give it like a good 6 out of 10. I would probably, if I ever get bored, pick it up again.
Yeah.
If I didn't have other stuff to play, like Hide.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for joining and thanks for actually jumping on the call. And like, now again, the other Josh, he played it, he beat it, and he had every intentions to be here today. And then literally like 30 minutes before we were supposed to start, he was like, I'm so bogged down, I can't make it. I'm just like, okay. So hopefully we'll see him next time, or I should say next month. And then we have Chuck, who has said he's been interested but hasn't responded. So I don't know, but he might just be like a guest appearance on some of these. You know, who knows? We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see in the future. You know, who knows? But as long as at least one of you guys shows up, which right now you're the only one that at least made a complete effort, and as long as at least one of you shows up, we'll keep going and see how this goes. So
Yeah, actually really like this idea because I would have never touched these old JRPGs otherwise.
yeah, yeah, I think it's fun, and I think it's fun when people who at least can appreciate them for what they were, for the time they were. You know.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for playing, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.